If you've ever gone hiking alone, if you've ever walked deep into the woods and felt like someone was watching you, then listen carefully, because 3 years ago something happened to me in the mountains of North Carolina. Something I still can't explain. Something that made me quit hiking forever. And if what I saw that weekend is still out there, I don't think it was ever human. My name is Ethan. I'm 31 years old, and until this happened, hiking was my favorite thing in the world. Every few months, I'd disappear into the wilderness for a weekend. No phone calls, no social media, just me and the forest. In October of 2023, I decided to explore a remote trail outside Asheville, North Carolina. The trail wasn't popular. In fact, according to a local ranger, most people avoided it. When I asked why, he shrugged. People get turned around out there. At the time, I laughed. I thought he meant the trails were confusing. I wish that's all he meant. The hike started normally. The air was cool, the leaves were turning red and gold. Everything looked like a postcard. After 4 hours of hiking, I found a small clearing beside a creek and set up camp. As the sun disappeared behind the mountains, the temperature dropped fast. I cooked dinner over a fire and listened to the sounds of the forest. Crickets, owls, wind through the trees, normal sounds, comforting sounds. Then, at exactly 8:17 p.m., every sound stopped. All at once, the crickets, the owls, even the wind, gone. The silence felt unnatural, like somebody had pressed a mute button on the world. I remember staring into the darkness beyond the firelight, waiting, listening, trying to understand why my heart was suddenly beating so fast. Then I heard it, a voice, far away, barely louder than a whisper. "Ethan!" I froze, every muscle in my body locked up, because I was completely alone, or at least, I thought I was. I stood and grabbed my flashlight. Hello? Nothing. No response, no movement, just darkness between the trees. After several minutes, I convinced myself I had imagined it. Maybe the wind had sounded strange. Maybe I was tired. So I sat back down. Then the voice returned, closer this time. "Ethan!" The moment I heard it, my stomach dropped, because I finally recognized it. The voice sounded exactly like my older brother. The problem? My brother had died 6 years earlier. I didn't sleep much that night. Every tiny sound kept me awake. Around midnight, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy. Someone was walking around my tent, not running, not sneaking, walking, like they knew I could hear them. I held my breath. The footsteps completed one circle around the tent, then another, then another. For nearly 10 minutes, I could hear every step, the weight, the rhythm, the confidence. Whoever or whatever was outside wasn't afraid of me. It wanted me to know it was there. Then the footsteps stopped directly beside my head. Only a thin layer of tent fabric separated us. I couldn't hear breathing, couldn't hear movement, just silence. Then a whisper, "Ethan," right beside my ear. I exploded out of the tent with my flashlight. Nothing, nobody. The campsite was empty, but the dirt around my tent told a different story. Footprints, large human footprints, too large, at least size 16. and they circled my tent dozens of times. I should have packed up and left immediately. Instead, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I followed them. The footprints led deeper into the forest, far beyond the marked trail. The farther I walked, the stranger things became. The trees grew thicker. The sunlight faded, even though it was still morning. The forest felt wrong, like it wasn't supposed to exist. After nearly an hour of following the tracks, I found a cabin, an old wooden cabin hidden among the trees. The structure looked abandoned, yet somehow it didn't look forgotten. It looked like it was waiting for me. The front door stood open. Inside, dust covered everything. Furniture, walls, floors. It looked untouched for decades. Then I saw the photographs, hundreds of them, scattered everywhere, across tables, pinned to walls, covering the floor. My chest tightened. Every photograph showed the same person. Me, at different ages, as a teenager, in college, at family gatherings. Photos nobody outside my family should have possessed. Some hadn't even been posted online. My hands started shaking. I picked one up. On the back, written in faded black ink, were 4 words. "You finally came back." Then I heard movement upstairs, a single footstep, slow, heavy, deliberate. The cabin suddenly felt much colder. I looked toward the staircase. Another step, then another. Something was coming down. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering so hard it hurt. The footsteps continued, slowly, patiently, as if whatever was upstairs already knew I couldn't escape. Then I saw it, a face appear at the top of the stairs. My face. Not someone who looked similar, not someone who resembled me. It was me, every feature identical, except the smile. The smile stretched impossibly wide, far wider than a human mouth should. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The thing stared at me for several seconds, then it spoke in my voice, perfectly. "I've been waiting for you." I ran. I've never run so fast in my life. Branches whipped my face, roots nearly tripped me. Behind me I heard footsteps, massive footsteps, keeping pace, not gaining, not falling behind, almost like it was playing with me. Then something even worse happened. I looked over my shoulder, and there wasn't just one. There were dozens, standing between the trees, all wearing my face, watching, smiling. When I finally reached the main trail, everything stopped. The sounds vanished instantly, the footsteps, the voices, all of it. I turned around. The forest was empty. I drove home that night, and for weeks I told myself it wasn't real. Stress, exhaustion, hallucinations, anything but the truth. Then 1 month later, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. because someone was whispering outside my bedroom window. "Ethan." I looked outside. Nothing. But written across the glass from the outside were 4 words, the same 4 words from the cabin. "You finally came back." That was 3 years ago. Since then, I've moved twice, changed jobs, changed states. But every few months, I hear the voice again, always at night, always nearby, always calling my name. Last week, I received a package with no return address. Inside was a single photograph, a photograph of me standing in front of that cabin, smiling. The date printed on the bottom was October 18th, 2025. 2 years after the day I visited the forest. The problem is, I was never there in 2025. At least, I don't remember being there. And written on the back, in my own handwriting, were the words that still keep me awake at night. I'll be home soon.